Are you drowning in busy work? Most people's jobs involve a lot of work that AI could already be doing for them. They may not even realize it. We're not even talking about meaningful work. We're talking about the repetitive stuff: copying information, reorganizing documents, sorting through messages, answering the same questions over and over again. The only reason that you're still doing it by hand is that automation is a word that sounds complicated and technical. So in this video, I'm going to show you what AI automation actually is, the tools that make it possible, and how a simple idea can grow from a basic helper into a full system that quietly takes real work off your plate, even if you've never automated anything before. So before I start showing you what some of the tools are and what you can do with AI automation, let's quickly clear up what people mean when they talk about it. At its core, it's simply a system that handles a repeatable task for you. We're talking about something predictable, something you could do the same way every time. Think about how your email sorts messages into folders with filters. This is just one small example of what automation is. What's changed is that AI can now understand information inside of those emails. So for example, it can read what someone wrote, pull out the important parts, rewrite it, organize it, and decide what should happen next. So instead of just moving information from place to place like with an email filter, your tools can now actually process the message. And once you understand that, the rest of this becomes much more approachable. So there are lots of tools you can use out there for AI automations, but you don't need to learn all of them. Most automations rely on a few familiar tools working together, and chances are pretty good that you use at least one of these. So here are some common tools people make automations with. Zapier or Maker connectors. Simply stated, they let the software you already use pass information back and forth. A basic example of this involving AI would be having a client fill out an inquiry form, and ChatGPT would create a summary and put it into a Google Doc for you. Make.com has even more flexibility if you want to build something more detailed, and it also tends to be a little bit cheaper for most small users. Chatbot creators such as Dante AI, VoiceFlow, or BotPress would help you create an AI-powered chatbot that you can connect to another app with Zapier or Make.com. Or you can even have it as a standalone chatbot on your website, for example. And we have AI platforms such as ChatGPT. This is the part that understands and rewrites information for you. It turns raw text into summaries, drafts, or organized notes. You can use other platforms besides ChatGPT, such as Copilot, Gemini, or Claude. Some of these are already integrated directly into the programs that you're already using every day, such as Copilot with Microsoft Office or Gemini with Google Workspace. And speaking of Google Workspace, we have tools such as Docs, Sheets, and Drive that are so widely used that they're often the first place that people start when they're automating. They work especially well with automation because they can store and update information behind the scenes. Notion is a workspace for notes, documents, and organized data, and it's useful as a home base for anything your automations create. Airtable is a more structured version of a spreadsheet, and that's great for tracking submissions, requests, or client details. Calendly and Typeform handle scheduling or collecting information. They can trigger automations whenever someone books an appointment or fills out a form. As I mentioned before, you don't need to know all of these for AI automations, and you don't have to learn any of them immediately. But most automations will use 2 or 3 of these tools at the most. And most people start with the tools that they're already using, such as the example I mentioned before with an online form going into Google Docs. Before we go into the levels of automation and an example of how they work, it's helpful to understand the broader landscape of what AI can automate. You don't need to memorize these categories or to even use all of them, but these are simply the areas where people see the biggest time savings, and it's to give you a sense of what's possible with AI automation. First, we have communication tasks, such as drafting follow-ups, summarizing long messages, clarifying what somebody needs, or organizing information so you're not starting from scratch every time. We also have scheduling tasks, such as preparing for meetings, confirming appointments, sending reminders, or gathering information ahead of time. There's document cleanup, such as fixing formats, polishing drafts, generating summaries, or creating clean notes from messy inputs. You have client or customer intake tasks, such as helping people understand your services, collecting necessary details from them, qualifying requests, or guiding people to the right next steps. This is going to be the example we're going to be using here in just a minute. And there's also internal notes and organizational tasks. Some examples of this are capturing action items from messages or meetings, labeling information, and keeping everything in the right place automatically. And finally, you have data entry tasks, such as pulling important details out of forms, documents, emails, or chats, and adding them directly into your systems. When people talk about automation, it's usually just lumped into one big category. But in practice, there are multiple levels of complexity of these automations that most people will use. Knowing what these levels are can make everything feel much more understandable. So with level 1, we're going to be talking about simple automations, and these are quick wins, single repeatable tasks that run the same way every time. They don't make decisions, they simply remove tiny pieces of work you'd otherwise do by hand. Level 2 would cover assistant level automations, and here the automation would handle an entire step in your workflow. AI can read the information, sort it, draft responses, or organize it before you ever see it. With level 3 automations, we're talking about full systems, and this is where your workflows start making choices. AI might route information, qualify requests, trigger different next steps, and run processes from beginning to end. It's not to replace you, but it can feel like having a digital employee handling your first round of work. You don't need to jump right to level 3. Most people start with something small, get a quick win, and naturally move their way up as they become more comfortable doing it. To make these levels easier to visualize, let's walk through one example and see how it becomes more complex as you move from a simple automation to a full system. Here we're going to be using a client intake and inquiry tool as the example because many people deal with questions and requests coming in through email, contact forms, or chatbots. This is just one example, but the same sort of structure is going to work for any type of incoming request in any field. And I'll point out that this is not a tutorial. This is simply a way for you to visualize what AI automation could look like in real life. So we're going to be starting with a basic level 1 automation, which would be a chatbot that answers questions based off of your website, blog posts, or other knowledge base. It would help eliminate time for you based on answering your clients' questions that are most commonly asked over and over. However, at level 2 is when we might add in AI by taking a transcript of this chat, analyzing it, summarizing it, and crafting a response for you for this client. It could even send this response automatically. Level 3 would do all of this and then perhaps analyze the customer inquiry, automatically route clients to schedule an intake with you, alert you that the client may have a need that you have to deal with immediately, or politely say no to clients who aren't a great fit for your business, all without you having to do anything. And if all of this feels interesting but a little intimidating, that's completely normal. But getting started is much easier than most people expect. You would choose one tool that you already use, Google Docs, Notion, email. Most people are surprised by how quickly that first one comes together. Once you see that small task run on its own, the next step will become easier. Your confidence will grow naturally. And that's how you move up through these difficulty levels, one simple improvement at a time. If this gave you a clearer picture of what AI automation can actually do, this is just the beginning. On this channel, I'll be breaking down some of these workflows in future episodes, step by step, in a way that you can follow, even if you're not technical. So if you want to see real examples in action, make sure you're subscribed. And if you prefer to skip this learning curve entirely, I also help professionals and small business owners set up automations tailored to their workflow. If you want these systems working for you without spending hours figuring them out on your own, you can find more information on my website at aiconfidenceproject.com. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you. What part of your workflow do you wish you could automate? Or which example from today would you like me to cover in a full walkthrough later? Your questions help shape future episodes. Don't forget to like. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.